Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Palmer. I am with the group Utah for Responsible Growth. First of all, before I get into it, I've got a prepared statement that we want to read today that has just been sent out to the media as well. We'll read that in a minute. This is going to be a tough announcement today, but before I get into that, I want to take a minute. For those of you that may not know much about our group, Utah for Responsible Growth, we are a group of residents. We're just residents. We don't have any stakes in the game on development in the state. We're just residents trying to fight for, to have a voice. I've got a group of volunteers that have supported this cause. They are fantastic, and I want to give a shout out to them today. So many people behind the scenes that have worked so hard to represent the people of the community, the people of the state. And so today's a difficult day for all of us as we put this out there today. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and read a prepared statement right now. We regret to inform everyone that as of Thursday, April 9th, 2020, Utah for Responsible Growth will be suspending all signature gathering for the referendum on the Olympia Hills development. We would like to explain how we have arrived at that decision. On Tuesday, March 3rd, the Salt Lake County Council, despite opposition from city leaders of neighboring communities and residents alike, approved the Olympia Hills development. Utah for Responsible Growth then held a press conference and kickoff event on March 4th, announcing that we would be applying for a referendum. On Tuesday, March 10th, Utah for Responsible Growth applied for 3 referendums pertaining to the council's approval of this development. On Monday, March 30th, Utah for Responsible Growth received approval to move forward with all 3 referendum petitions. At that point, the 45-day clock started ticking. Between the press conference on March 4th and the day we were approved to move forward, a lot changed in our world. During that press conference, we never would have anticipated the challenges we would all be facing at this time. The day prior to receiving approval, Salt Lake County issued a stay home, stay safe order, which justifiably prohibited us from gathering signatures at large events or going door to door. We considered not moving forward for the safety of our signers and our volunteers. However, Governor Herbert issued an executive order allowing gubernatorial candidates to gather signatures electronically via email or fax. We then petitioned and were successful in receiving a similar approval for gathering signatures electronically late on the afternoon of April 2nd. While we are grateful for this executive order, we were also already 4 days into our 45-day window. Our team of volunteers worked feverishly that night to create a process in accordance with the executive order to be able to gather signatures electronically. Signers were required to verify that they were registered to vote in Salt Lake County. They were then passed through a form that required them to acknowledge that they had reviewed the referendum packets, which we had placed very prominently on our website. The signers were then able to download a signature sheet that they then had to print and sign and then send back to us via email, fax, or mail. We began receiving hundreds of signatures immediately. Now, because of a bill passed in 2019 by the state legislature, we were required to submit all signature sheets within 7 days of the packets going out. This is the same bill that also increased the percentage of registered voters required for a successful land use referendum to 16%, rather than 7.75% for all other referendums. Now, because of this requirement, we began working immediately with the Salt Lake County Clerk's Office to know how to submit the signature sheets electronically. After the Clerk's Office consulted with the Lieutenant Governor's Office over several days on the process they were to follow, we then received a memo dated April 3rd. This memo, and it should be noted, it was dated April 3rd, but we did not receive this until yesterday. This memo with the corresponding updated executive order had not been sent to the clerk's office or to the sponsors of the referendum, as I mentioned, until yesterday. In the memo, there were some clarifying questions and answers that directly contradicted the original executive order sent to the sponsors. The initial executive order suspended the requirement to physically attach the law to the petition, as well as suspended the requirement that each signature sheet be bound. The memo states that, quote, the voter needs to return, this is the new memo, states that the voter needs to return a full copy of the referendum packet, which includes the signed signature page and a copy of the law that is the subject of the referendum, end quote. In the case of the MDA referendum, the packet is 277 pages. This law cannot be emailed due to the size, which drastically limits our ability to truly gather signatures electronically. On top of this issue, we were instructed that we were to submit hard copies of each signature packet. Because of this new memo, each packet would have been a packet sent to one household. In order to gather 82,000 signatures, it was assumed that 60,000 homes would need to sign. Based on 277 pages from 60,000 homes, we would have been required to print nearly 16 million pieces of paper at a cost of over $1 million. For a volunteer resident group, this is an impossible amount to come up with. The most damaging news from this new memo, unfortunately, that was all signatures gathered prior to this point have been deemed invalid. The county clerk's office was very helpful and tried to find a way to validate these signatures. But based on the memo we received yesterday, we could not find a way to send the signature sheets to them that would have met those extreme requirements. Ultimately, at this point, it's unfortunate that we don't have an appropriate method in place to give a voice to the residents. The process provided to us changed 9 days into our allotted time. Why should this be allowed to happen? This sets a dangerous precedent that needs to be looked at in the future. Our referendum laws in the state need to be updated to reflect the many ways available now to gather information and communicate with others. While we regretfully will be suspending our referendum efforts, Utah for Responsible Growth is not done fighting for those who have supported us and those fighting to see smart growth across the state. We will now shift our efforts to supporting candidates and policies that reflect our values. We have been told that we have the grounds for a lawsuit, and we will be looking at all options at this point. However, we encourage all of our supporters at this point to help us make changes at the state, county, and even the city levels to elect people that will listen to us and represent us. That's the end of our prepared statement. We just want to say to all those that have reached out and signed and supported us, first of all, we feel horrible. We feel like the game was changed, the rules were changed on us at the last minute, and 9 days in. 82,000 signatures was already going to be a daunting task, and for the rules to be changed on us 9 days in, out of 45 is pretty unbelievable. And I mentioned we are looking into potential lawsuits. They do cost money, but we are looking into that to find a way to come up with that money. But thank you to those of you that have supported us, that have signed the referendum already. We appreciate it. It's not gone unnoticed. But please stay tuned. We will keep the Facebook pages open for more information as we move forward. So again, at this time, we'll keep you posted as we move down, and we appreciate you being on today. Thank you.